Virgo, and welcome to your October general reading. I do my love readings separately. They'll be out next week. So this is the general energies around you. Now, your overriding card for the month of October is the Lover's card. So the Lover's card is obviously about relationships, but it's also about life choices. It tends to speak of being at a very significant life junction. Okay? I'm just looking at how these cards are all playing together actually, because one card represents the gift and one is the challenge. So the challenge is the Death card, which sort of means some of you might be letting go of a relationship, but that's not what I'm picking up. Actually, probably the other side of it, because the Page of Swords has turned up in your relationship house, which tends to speak about communication and a lot of energy in your relationships. So we'll talk about cards when we get there. So when you move into October, you've got two cards, the Three of Discs and the Four of Discs. The Three of Discs is a card of cooperation and working together. But right next to it is the Four of Discs, which is the exact opposite. The Four of Discs is a card, it's got quite a few meanings. This is a relationship issue. Either you or someone else is holding back the flow of emotions, okay? But on an issue to do with your resources, fours are about stability, which means you're having to hold on to the stability that you have. It's going to mean different things for different people. It's an interesting combination of cards though, because I'm saying to myself, well, how can you both be cooperative and hold back? And that's what both these cards are about. So right before I begin your reading, Virgo, sorry, I am seeing a little bit of a, what's going on here? Yeah, okay, I've clarified it with the King of Cups. Now, there's an emotional energy here. I thought there was an emotional energy. Now, this is not how I tend to read the King of Cups, but I'm going to read it this way because of the Four of Discs. This king is dipping his toe in a relational matter, okay? There's a lot of holding back, but not completely, because you're dipping your toe in. This might be someone at work, by the way, or someone that you have to be in a sense of cooperation with, working together. But for some reason, Virgo, you're both being part of something, but holding something back. And I really hope that makes sense to someone. It's really hard when you get a complex set of cards because they're more for private readings. So I'm going to have to bring it into a general reading, but there's a little bit of holding back of your energy, but not completely, because there's a toe being dipped in here. Very interesting. Sorry, Virgo. Anyhow, now what you most want is the Ace of Swords, which is clarity, which makes sense for those cards, because we tend to hold ourselves back energetically when we don't really know fully what's going on. If this is a relationship issue, you don't know how the other person feels, so we tend to hold ourselves back, and that's why you want this clarity, this ability to have clear vision. Now, it's really funny, Virgo, here, because I'm really trying to make this a general reading, but it really is coming across as a relationship theme. So I'm going to have to go with what's happening. Now, your gift is the Three of Wands, okay? So the Three of Wands is an expansive energy. All the threes are, because it talks about working with other people. There's a bit of a desire here, Virgo, to expand beyond your limitations here. There's a bird and it's flying over the ocean, and the guy's looking at it. It's Wands, which is desire, but please don't roll your eyes. There's a sense of also waiting for the full story to be revealed. Now, that is the gift, so it's not a punishment. And when a card like this is the gift, it's almost that deep feminine energy of not doing creates the results that you want. So it's a bit like letting the pentacles grow on their own without you having to keep digging to see what's happening here. Is this about to manifest? You're going to have to try and take a step back and allow timing to work in your favor, okay? Now, the challenge is a death card. I'm going to ask why it's a death card. This is an interesting combination of cards. It's almost this desire to expand, but it might be coming at a cost. So in order to get the new, you have to let go of the old. And that might be relevant for a few people watching. Actually, that's relevant for everyone. Because when we pile on a new situation without clearing the past, it can create chaos. Okay, no judgment here, Virgo, but it can create a very, very loaded situation. Because, so why is the death? Yeah, the death card is with the Six of Swords. So the challenge is leaving something behind. And maybe you've been asked to leave something behind without your ships fully coming in yet. And when we're put in a life position like that, we're in what I call the anxiety gap. So we're in a lot of state of uncertainty, and I cannot believe what's going on at a spiritual level. The Moon card, which is about being in the unknown. It's about being in the great mystery. And a lot of readers don't like the Moon card. They say it's very negative. I have never seen the Moon card being negative. How can something as beautiful as the moon be negative? But because we're in a little bit in the dark, the human mind fills the gaps in. And that's where the negativity is. So it's not to do with the Moon card. It's because you haven't got clarity about what's coming next. And that's why you crave this Ace of Swords, this clear seeing. Now, this reading is a total stereotypical reading of someone being like, say, 7 months pregnant. You cannot force the river here, Virgo. There's something unfolding which I like. I think it's probably to do with love. But you're in process. And a lot of people don't like being in process. So we don't like being in process. We're cutting off the sources of life, which is not healthy, okay? In your relationship, you've got the Page of Swords. So there's a lot of dynamic communication going on. And it's right under the Ace of Swords, which is what you most want, which is clarity, communication, money and work. You've got the Five of Swords, okay? So I need to clarify that. The Five of Swords tends to be a card about conflict, okay? All the fives are about change and change through difficulty. What I don't like about the Five of Swords, it tends to speak of a dialogue where no one wins, by the way. No one wins, everyone loses, but it can represent quite harsh communication. It's a card that I've got recently, and it's about a boss, you know, just not communicating very well. Yeah, that's the sort of energy of the Five of Swords, but I'm going to clarify it. And don't roll your eyes, but it's clarified with the Hanged Man. And right next to the Hangman, you've got the Moon. And right next to the Moon card, you've got the High Priestess. Now, the whole three of these cards, Virgo, are about embracing the mystery and letting this cycle happen to you. We get into trouble psychologically when we don't allow things to unfold, because it looks like you're in a little bit of a mysterious process and things haven't fully came into clear vision yet. Now, I asked what was after the High Priestess, and you got the beautiful Judgment card, which is about rebirth. It's the card about receiving blessings, receiving thank you. But October feels to me that you're in a huge gestation process. Now, the reason we don't like those processes is we don't follow natural law. And natural law is a process of gestation, new beginnings, decay, and then new growth. And when we follow that natural order, we find harmony and we find happiness, Virgo. And we're almost basically in a state of bliss, because very, very little can touch us. It's when we go against those laws that we find we get into trouble, okay? Money and work is quite an interesting energy. There looks like a little bit of conflict in the work environment, okay? Or with another person. Your message again is the Hanging Man. The Hanging Man tends to speak about having to sacrifice. But what we have to sacrifice with the Five of Swords is the need to be right, Virgo. The need to be right, the need to have things our way. When we learn to take a step back, we allow the greater forces of this universe to do everything for us, and we get to live in a state of peace and equilibrium. Now, you're going to the Judgment card, so something's being reborn here. Something's coming to light, but it might take the whole of October for that thing to come to light, okay? I'll have my relationship readings next week. This seems to be a relationship-themed reading for you, Virgo, okay? Some of you are having to let go of something you're holding on to in order to wait for the new. And no one likes that, but that is the natural law. And happiness, Virgo, is the natural law of life, okay? You can get me directly. My email's in the About section if you'd like a private reading with me. Something very fascinating is going on here, Virgo. You've got me totally intrigued about what it is, by the way. I think I know what it is, but general reading. Okay, guys, loads of love. Bye.